Elizabeth Davis.
Hello, everybody. So we just had Thanksgiving. It's behind us. Christmas is now on the horizon. Jesus' birthday. Ooh.
And my birthday.
And my brother's. That's another one. Jesus was a pretty... Jesus was a cool dude, you know, like, he died his honorable death, and then he comes back to life. And this man, in his first life, you know, he healed the blind, he gave them vision, he turned water into wine, and then in his next round, his next act on earth, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna be a gardener this time. I think I wanna try my hand at oregano. So that's interesting. But I've been thinking, like, what are some other forms that Jesus could come back at in future lives? And I've had some ideas. You know, I think for one thing, it'd be really cool if Jesus came back as a cowboy. Because, you know, everyone would be like, what incarnation? He'd be whipping his rosary around, you know, like lassoing Satan. This town ain't big enough for the four of us. I also think it'd be really cool if Jesus came back as a snowman. You know, it'd be like, everyone would say, Jesus iced. And maybe this would be our best chance to really finally, like, fridge over hell, you know, like he's got the resources. Or maybe Jesus could come back as a woman. Nah, too emotional. It could never happen. We can't let women have power in the church. We know what happened when Eve took a bite from the tree of knowledge. Heaven forbid a woman get an education. No, one time I took a bite from the tree of knowledge, and I will confess I did slightly regret it. I made the mistake of asking my dad how babies were made. And looking back, I really should have gone to my mom because I was 8 years old, and let me tell you, this man held nothing back. I was traumatized. I ran downstairs to my mom and I said, Mom, Dad has an aquarium living in his testicles. Thousands, maybe hundreds of fish are just swimming around in there. Twice, some of those fish got out and they started snacking on your eggs. My parents are here, they were there, they looked through it. And when that happened, my brother and I came to be. Did you know about this? Crazy. My mom was pissed. She was like, Kevin! But I was mostly confused, like, how was it that this man, who, let's be real, he's done some irresponsible things, he was allowed to have all of these pet fish. And me, I couldn't go to Petco and get one single goldfish. There was no justice in this. So naturally, I became a dog person. I never got my fish, but I love my dog. And any dog people out here? I gotta say, I love dog life, but there is one thing I can't quite get behind, and it's this concept of a dog mom. I just don't think it's a really accurate reflection of the relationship. I actually think dog life is where it's at, okay? I'm gonna explain. For one thing, if you have an intruder breaking into your house, you're not gonna send your son down to save you. You're gonna send your man, right? For another, if your son was humping your leg, that'd be so messed up. You probably don't want your husband to hump your leg either, but like, you can redirect him and it'll be okay. And then finally, you surely cannot get your son neutered. But after you've been married enough, I mean, maybe y'all can talk about this. At some point, it becomes okay. Okay? Right, ladies? Right?
Tell them about me.
My brother wants me to tell you guys about him. He is not yet neutered. Jack, it's my show tonight. No, so I have a dog husband, but I will say I also have boyfriend. I have not yet told my dog about him, but I think he's on to us. And with this human boyfriend, I'm learning a lot about myself. For one thing, he's teaching me a lot about this concept called white people shit. He's Peruvian, okay? And I was really surprised when I started learning about it because I was like, I've lived this life, like how do I not know about it? But apparently, it's kind of like when you don't realize that your bed smells like your dog because you're so used to it sleeping with you every night that you're just kind of like nose blind to the scent, right? White people shit. So throughout the months, he's taught me so much, and apparently a lot of my life falls under this very vanilla category. Here are some examples. 1, posting on LinkedIn, but not when you're looking for a job, just for fun. White people shit. I'm sorry, it's my favorite social platform. 2, apparently it's very white of you to just give one pass over your rug when you're vacuuming. You're supposed to do a round of north to south, and then a round of east to west. And you're supposed to empty the canister in between vacuuming, because if it gets too full, then it stops working. And I will be damned, I gave it a try, and the second round got just as much dirt as the first round, so I will give them that. Another one was wanting to go to a Lumineers concert. Just like, what? That is quality music. So I asked him a bit about that. I was like, okay, like, if the Lumineers aren't it, what are some good options of concerts we could go to? And this is where he confessed to me that he's actually never been to a concert unless you count the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Which I will say, good music. But I was like, okay, well, then what's on your wish list? And he's like, well, you know, I haven't yet had the chance to see Adele or like Sabrina Carpenter, Tate McRae. And I'm like, hold on. If that's not the caraway pot calling the kettle white, you're gonna say the Lumineers falls below all these other girly pops? Like, no. So those were fighting words. But I've actually been thinking about war a lot lately. Do you remember the early 2000s when waterboarding was all the rage? All the rage. It was like that was the way to deal with terrorists. And like, I was like 8 when it was happening. I didn't really know what any of it meant. But now I've been thinking about it. I'm like, it's so obvious. There's a better way to approach counter-terrorist efforts. Not waterboarding, cheeseboarding. I'm talking about charcuterie, guys. Think about it. When you're dealing with terrorist interactions, you're trying to build rapport and get intel, right? And what better way to build rapport than to share a charcuterie board and a couple glasses of wine? You're literally eating off the same plate. The wine is loosening you up. So picture this. You got a G.I. Joe and you got a terrorist, and they are sharing some cheese. Maybe the conversation starts to get a little friendly. Maybe they start talking about their astrological signs. This is where we find out that the terrorist is a Pisces. And for those of you who don't know much about astrology, Pisces are very gentle, they're loving creatures. And the G.I. Joe is kind of surprised. He's like, you know, just based off of your career, I would never have guessed that. And this is where we find out that the terrorist actually is like, he's a cat guy. He just wanted to be a vet. He never wanted to kill people. But here we are. It was a family business and he felt like he had to do it. Maybe the conversation gets a little flirty, you know? At one point, the terrorist looks down at the blue cheese and he says, hey, the mold in this cheese is really bringing out the green in your eyes. And the soldier is like, wow, keep talking like that to me and you're about to experience the pleasure of a triple cream de brie. No, I think there's a lot of potential to do good in the world with cheese. Like, world peace starts with cheese. If I were to run for president, that would be my platform. If that were to happen, a few changes would have to come into effect. For one thing, Wisconsin would become the nation's new capital. Pretty cool, right? For another thing, if you're lactose intolerant, fret not, because in addition to Medicaid, the government will now also be providing Lactaid. So we've got you covered, tax-free. And then finally, it would no longer be one nation under God, but one nation under I think we can all get behind that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I wrap up this set, I hope you will take this one final takeaway from me. It's no longer Make America Great Again, it's Make America Great Again. I'm Elizabeth Davis.